Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while, but I'm back. Today, just a quick video, or a pretty brief video on 5 of the biggest mistakes people make when they learn how to box, K1, striking, any form of striking really. 5 biggest mistakes I've seen as a fighter and a coach, and unfortunately they're not just beginner mistakes. I see experienced lads doing it too, who have allowed it to become part of their technique. I would say it's like ironing. Yeah, if you get a crease in your technique early on, it's hard to get out. So as a coach, I try and pick up on bad habits. I'm always nitpicking to my students to polish things up, because I don't want it growing and becoming part of their technique. So today we're going to go over them 5 main mistakes people tend to make. So if you're just starting out, hopefully you can be aware of it and you don't let it become part of your technique, because usually, whether it's sooner or later, it tends to bite them in the ass. And unfortunately, some of these will end up with people getting knocked out or stopped in a fight. So here we go. 5 biggest mistakes beginners make. 1, and the reason it's 1 is because for me it's the most important yet the most neglected part of people's technique. Footwork. Footwork is key. Without footwork, you're no good for nothing. Okay, the better your footwork, the better a fighter you're going to be. The greats all had great footwork, all have good footwork. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand the importance of good footwork. Starting basic footwork, moving forward, moving back, moving side to side, and moving with your base, taking your base with you where you go, having that balance point, not bringing them feet together and losing your base, which basically changes your punches into arm punches. And anyone who's watched my other videos, anyone who understands boxing, martial arts, punching, striking, you'll understand that punches come from our legs, they come from our feet. It's an extension of our feet. It comes through the floor, through our feet, through our legs, and the rotation and the extension through our arms is the cherry on the cake. That's what optimizes a punch, but the majority of the power and the technique is coming through our legs. So if our feet are wrong, everything's wrong. If our feet are wrong, we're going back on our heels, we can lose balance, we're losing power. Even punches we throw will be knocking us backwards, off balance. So as somebody starting out, number 1, take pride in footwork. Start off basic before we start getting too advanced. And then once you've got your basic footwork, going forward, going back, going left, going right, get somebody to push you, as in push you cardio-wise. You want to be tired, you want to be getting pushed forward and back whilst you're tired, whilst you're under pressure, and making sure you've still got that base under you whilst you're throwing your punches and throwing your techniques. Very, very important. Unfortunately, I see a lot of people hitting pads, and they look fantastic. They're ducking and weaving and bobbing and hitting all sorts of combinations. But when you look closely, you can see the feet aren't actually throwing them shots. It's all arm punches. So although the punches would, it would hurt, you wouldn't want to get punched in the mush with it, they're losing so much more potential power because they're not pushing and pedaling that power where it needs to be. More so, what's even worse, is if their opponent is moving, they ain't going to catch them anyway. You could have the best weapon in the world, and if you can't get it to the target, what's the point? Okay, so we've got to have good mobility, and that all comes down to good footwork, and that all comes down to basic footwork from the start. Take pride in footwork, and your skills as a boxer, K1, MMA striking, as a striker in general, will be 1,000 times better than somebody who doesn't take pride in the footwork or doesn't understand the importance of it. That is number 1. Number 2, it sounds obvious, but a lot of people don't do it. Even more advanced, experienced people neglect it sometimes. And that is simply our guard. Our guard needs to be up, okay? I don't mind when I'm teaching guys who are on the outside and they know their the distance, they've got the experience and they understand the distance and they want to have the guard down, they want to have a little bit of playing around with that guard. But when we engage, when we step across that line to engage, our guard needs to be up. There's too many people throwing combinations and the guard is below the chin line. We can be knocked out from temple, behind our ear, all the way down. This is one big switch off button. Okay, and I see too many lads with the guard down here. Okay, now I teach to have the guard up when we throw a shot to the temple, right? The reason being is when we get tired, we tend to drop our guard a little bit, okay? So when I'm throwing a shot, my hand's open, my glove, and I'll touch my temple. Okay, this works great because once we start putting MMA gloves on, we've still got that coverage. If we're used to this with a boxing glove, we're now exposed here, okay? And if this is our go-to, when we get tired, it drops down here, okay? If it's here when I'm getting tired, at least I've still got a decent guard here. So when I throw a shot, I always touch my temple. I open my glove, touch my temple. Okay, what's even more important is our left hook. I've seen so many lads throw a left hook, big left hook, and the guard's down here. I've spoken to particular individuals about this before a fight over and over and over again. And then they've gone in and got knocked out by throwing their own left hook and getting countered with a left hook. So guard is essential. Obviously, it sounds obvious when I say it, but people don't do it. A lot of the time they don't realise they're not doing it. So the best tool is to watch yourself, video yourself, watch yourself in the mirror. Mirror work is invaluable. Shadow boxing, slowly throwing every technique in that mirror and watching where the opposite hand is. I'm not bothered where the punch is going when I'm watching this with guys. I'm watching where the other hand is. So whatever you're throwing, we should be protecting that guard. What I try to explain is to them, it doesn't matter how powerful our hands are. It's no good if we're vulnerable here. We have battle tanks that are extremely powerful. They've still got armour. They've not got some guy on a deck chair sitting on the roof trying to fire the gun, or you just get wiped out. So chin down, guard up. The chin down bit, again, is important with the guard. A lot of people might have the guard up, but the chin's up in the air here, okay? And it doesn't want to be tight. It just wants to be relaxed, like you're looking over a pair of sunglasses. So that chin is tucked down and our guard is up. The more people do it wrong, the more people throw combinations without a good guard, and they don't take pride in that, the more they're going to inherit that into their technique, and the harder it'll be to start putting that guard in place later on. So when I get students coming in and they've got no experience, that's good for me. That means there's no bad habits. It's actually harder to get out of bad habits. You need a really picky, chewy coach like me who is always chewing at you, okay? Or be picky and chewy yourself, video yourself, check yourself in the mirror, and eventually, when you throw that technique, if your guard's down, which sometimes it is, sometimes it's sloppy, especially when you're tired, you'll almost feel it. You'll feel vulnerable, and you'll know you've dropped that guard. But it takes practice, and that takes your brain seeing what it looks like when your guard isn't in the right place, video, mirror work, etc. So number 2 is guard. Guard up, chin down. Number three. Most guys, once they have the first fight, or when they start sparring even for the first time, but it's usually the first fight when the adrenaline's kicking in, they all headhunt. Everybody headhunts. They forget the opponent's got a body, which is much bigger than the head. The bell goes, they come out, and they just try and rip punches into each other's heads. It tends to be they're turning the head away, they're trying to pull the head back and trying to punch as long as possible, noses get smashed open, and it just turns messy. even worse, sometimes I've had lads who enjoy throwing body shots. They come out, they get a good shot with a good headshot to start with, they wobble the guy, and then that's it, they're fixated on that headshot, the same headshot over and over again. Headhunting, it's a big, big thing. The body is there to be punched. And believe me, I've seen some of the biggest, hardest guys go down like a sack of shit with a body shot. It does not take much for a good body shot to do massive damage and end a fight. Some people can have a head like concrete and you can hit them all day long. They're not going to get knocked out. That's when the body shots are invaluable. But for me, I tend to be having a 70% kind of body shot thing going on. 70-30%, 70-30 ratio. Is that right? Yeah, 70-30% ratio. I was never good at maths and I've only got worse with the knocks to the noggin. More body shots than head, because by using the body, it automatically starts bringing the people's guards down and it opens up that head. By changing levels, body, pop up to the head, up and down that body all the time. And you'd be amazed what it opens up. You will get a good headshot by working that body. So practice your body shots and take pride in them in the ring, in the cage. Start whipping them body shots in. I've got videos. I'm sure there's a video on here on body shots. If not, I'll have a look and I'll do a video solely for body shots. With body shots, we're going to become butchers. Okay, not in a violent way. All I mean is you're going to learn which parts of your opponent we want to be taking out with them body shots. And when you do, and when you understand the anatomy, it's a lot easier to make them body shots more effective. We're looking for kidney, liver, floating ribs, the sternum, your solar plexus. There's parts of that body that you want to be lighting up through your combinations, up and down the levels. So number 3, body shot. Do not headhunt. Do not headhunt, because the head will close up, you won't get it, you waste energy. And I've seen so many guys trying to hit people's heads while the guard's here and the body is completely exposed down here. I'm screaming, body, hit the body. But fixated on that head. Number 3, head hunting. Don't do it. Moving on from number 3, which was headhunting, another big mistake people make when they first start sparring, when they first start fighting, and the difference between somebody brand new and somebody with experience is feinting. Okay, and I don't mean like fainting, I mean pretending to do a shot. For those who are new to this, it's pretending to throw a shot, but not actually throwing it. Maybe pretending to throw a right and then throwing a left, or pretending to throw the right and then actually throwing the right. We can feint with our footwork, we can feint with our shoulders, we can feint with our body movement, range, all sorts of different feints. When it comes to K1, MMA, we can even feint with where we want to look. Yeah, we can do all sorts. It's like a chess game. But we don't need anything clever. We can have simple feints, simple fake punches, which is just pretend to throw the jab and then throw the jab. Pretend to throw the jab and then throw the right. The more feints you do, the harder it is for your opponent to read. If I come out and every punch I'm throwing is meant to land, it's a lot easier for him to read, because every movement I make, I'm trying to reach out to him. If I keep things moving and keep him guessing, it's a lot harder for his brain to start working out what I'm actually going to do. Again, I'm pretty sure there may be a video on feints, but if there isn't, if I haven't done one, I'll do a video on feints, from basic to advanced. And it's never too early to start putting that into your game. Practicing feints, basic feints, okay? Trying to get that flinch mechanism. This is why we want to invest in a very, very good, sharp, effective jab, because once we've got that jab off, that's when we can start feinting with it, and it's the key to open so many different things, so many different combinations. I have a lot of people who've trained for a while, they start sparring, and they say, I can never seem to land hooks or uppercuts, or I can never seem to land my backhand. And it's because they're not investing with feints, a good crisp jab, footwork, and starting to make the opponent guess where they're going to go. So number four is number four is feints. Start practicing them. Number five, probably the most important point, the most important mistake people make starting out, and that is attitude. Unfortunately, attitude isn't just a problem when people are starting out, it becomes a problem with those who allow an ego to grow. So ego in a gym like this tends to get weeded out pretty quickly. Those who come in with a big ego either put that to bed and learn, or they don't come back. That's either through sparring with some lads who know what they're doing, or simply just getting beasted with exercise. So that's one good thing. And that type of ego is pretty easy to deal with. The hardest part to deal with is the ego that fighters, lads training, allow to grow without realising. It's losing the attitude of being humble and listening and growing. So once a fighter starts believing he's better than everyone else, that's wrong. That's wrong, because deep down, a champion, somebody who wants to be a champion, does believe he's going to be the best in the world, okay? And he can beat anybody if he puts the mind to it, he puts the right training, and he has the right training camp. Anyone who wants to be a real champion and has that champion attitude does believe deep down he can beat any other man on the planet. I don't care what anyone says. Any good fighter truly believes deep down, if he has the right training camp, the right amount of time, he can come back. Even if you get to beat 10 times, he can come back and he will beat that man. That's a good mentality to have. However, the wrong mentality to have is when you stop listening to people, when you stop listening to your coaches, when you stop listening to other fighters, and you start thinking you know better than other fighters. It's one thing thinking you can, one day be the best in the world and having that attitude, but when you start thinking you know better than everyone else, that's when you stop growing as a fighter. That is your ceiling, that's your limit. So unfortunately, you get guys who stop wanting to be told that they're doing something wrong. So the other points, for instance, if the guard's slightly down, if the footwork isn't bob on, you can see in particular people, they don't like it. They don't like being told that they're doing something wrong. That's ego. That is a limit, and that is a ceiling to their skill level. So the biggest mistake people can make is allowing ego to creep in, that attitude, the wrong attitude that is going to limit their growth. I've been doing this now for since I was a kid, so probably over 30 years of hitting things, yeah? And I'm still learning. I'm still watching young lads who've been training a year, and I'm watching and I think, that's good. I wonder how they're doing that, and I'll try and work it out, and I'm learning from them. I'm learning from other coaches. I'm an open book, and that for me is the best way to be. Always be an open book, always be a sponge. Never limit yourself to listening to just one person. Read as many books, i.e. coaches, other fighters, other experienced people, and take as much as you can. And that will grow you as a fighter like nothing else. As soon as your attitude allows an ego to grow and you won't allow criticism, constructive criticism, you're dead in the water. You are limited to that, to what you are now, okay? In my opinion. I mean, there's people out there with large egos who are extremely successful. But from what I see, the fighters, young fighters with loads of potential, those who stay humble and hungry, listen, they go out and learn from everyone they can, they're the lads who are just getting better and improving and becoming more and more dangerous. They are truly, truly dangerous people, hard work, humble, and open to learning from everyone. While I'm on with attitude, a little pointer from a coach's point of view and an old fighter's point of view, I suppose. So, as a young fighter, some of the best coaches I had tried to break me. Okay, they tried to break me physically and mentally in the gym in order to help me grow into a stronger fighter. Because when I was in the ring, when I was in the cage, I needed that mental strength. So when everything wasn't going my way, I could push through that. When my body was exhausted and it felt like it couldn't go on, my brain said, shut up, you're going on anyway. You're doing it anyway. It doesn't matter if you're in pain, it doesn't matter if you're exhausted, you're just going to go through the pain. And that is a mentality that I grew to be able to push myself to. It takes a while. You know, it takes a while to be able to do that, to then once you go out and do hill sprints or bag work on your own, you are pushing yourself when there's no one around to shout at you. So, as a young fighter, my advice to you is grow to see the punishment as a challenge, not to break you. Okay? I love pushing fighters to breaking point, and they're just like, no, you can just keep pushing, you can keep pushing. You can see they're in agony, you can see they're exhausted, but even if the body's failing, they're doing everything they can to keep pushing through. That's awesome. As a coach, saying that is fantastic. So for me, my advice as a young fighter, don't let your coach break you, okay? And understand why they're trying to do it. Okay, don't get in a sulk if they make you do an extra round, you know, because that's you giving up. And if you're giving up when he's trying to push you, you're going to give up when the opponent's trying to push you. So learn to love punishment. Okay, grow to love pain, and it'll make you a better fighter. Trust me. Start loving that challenge. So that's it. 5 mistakes that people make when they start the box, K1, striking, etc. Some of them cross over into different disciplines, but them 5 rules or them 5 mistakes will put you in good stead to be the best fighter you can be. Some of them are essential. Well, they're all essential. 5 essential things not to do, or to do, depending on the rules. You get the point. So I hope you've got something out of it, specifically if you are just starting out. Hopefully, anybody who's been doing it a little while and they are getting a little bit of an ego creeping in where they're thinking they know better than others, bring yourself back down, stay humble, hard work, quiet, work hard in the background, push yourself, challenge yourself. Don't let people break you, and concentrate on the fundamentals, and you'll go far. Okay, so anyway, enough waffling. I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please press the like button. Please subscribe. It helps grow the channel. And I'll see you again at the next one.